watching The Breakdown with the fight analyst, Garrett Kerman.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to The Breakdown. I'm the fight analyst, Garrett Kerman. I'm here to break down this week's fight card, UFC Vegas 25, from a betting perspective to make you guys a ton of money putting into your pockets. Yes, I know I've been MIA the last couple weeks. Family time, was on vacation last week. Huge pay-per-view, UFC 261. Great fight card, top to bottom. Wow, what a fight card. Kamaru Usman did the unthinkable, went in there and knocked out Jorge Masvidal within 2 rounds. It was just a thing of beauty, something I definitely didn't see coming. I thought it was just going to be a nice, easy decision win, a bunch of grappling exchanges, but the guy came to ball. He came to strike, and he just looked phenomenal out there. Valentina Shevchenko went out there and did work as everybody thought she would. And then the crazy knockout by Rose Namajunas of Weili Zhang. It was just crazy. Just 60 seconds into the fight. Just a thing of beauty. That head kick knockout was just crazy. But with that said, I'm here to make money on tonight's fights. I didn't do so well last week. Unfortunately, I got burned on the Zhang fight. I thought she would have done better, but Rose rose to the occasion and got that knockout win. So it was very, very impressive. But yeah, I'm here to make some money tonight. UFC Vegas 25, headlined by Dominic Reyes and Yuri Prochazka. That's gonna be a banger of a fight. Don't expect it to go the distance. And this fight card, top to bottom, is actually very well put together. I think there's only maybe 1 or 2 lackluster fights. The rest of these fights are going to be absolute bangers, top to bottom. And let's just get right down into the breakdown, getting these fights going. It's Saturday morning, 8:30 in the morning. Thank you for joining me. Let's get this money today, fellas. All right, so our first fight up. Let's get this on here for you guys. All right, so our first fight up is a fight at 135 pounds between Luke Sanders and Felipe Colares. Right now, Luke Sanders is a minus 140 favorite, and the comeback on Colares is a plus 120 underdog. If you want to look at the stats here, Luke Sanders has a substantial striking advantage here, output advantage. He lands 6.21 strikes per minute to Colares' 1.13. So he's out striking him by almost 5 times, which is kind of absurd. But the drawback here is Sanders absorbs a shit ton of punches as well at 4.11 strikes per minute. While Colares still absorbed 3 strikes per minute. So they're both getting hit a ton in their fights. Sanders is actually coming off of a loss. He's 1-2 in his last 3. Same for Colares. I think this is a pretty low level, bantamweight fight here. But what Colares has is a pretty good grappling advantage here. He averages 2 takedowns per 15 minutes. And he's a pretty good submission threat. So you got to take that into account here. Luke Sanders, he hasn't looked in the best form, but he's also fought the better competition other than, Montel Jackson that Colares has fought. But if I'm swaying aside here, I'm not really going to bet either way. I would take Luke Sanders here. I think he has the resume. He's gotten the bigger wins. He's beaten the better competition. He's fought the better competition. But I do like the under 2.5 rounds here, plus 105. I think that's a sneaky good play here. And normally the first fight I like, it's either, finishing in the first round or it's a decision fight. But I think this fight is going to be balls to the wall excitement right off the bat, because that's what you get from Luke Sanders. He's going to come forward. He's going to push the pace, throw hands, and look to, get Colares out of there. So I'm looking at the under 2.5 rounds at plus 105. What's up, Rob? What's going on, bro? Thanks for joining in. All right. Next up, we have a fight at at 185, 100, middleweight division between Andres Michaelias and KB Bular. Right now, Andres is a minus 230 favorite, and the comeback on KB is a plus 190 underdog. Man, this is such a hard fight to call. I mean, KB looked terrible in his debut. Actually, let's put it this way: both of them looked terrible in the UFC debut. So, I think both of them will look better in this fight. At least, KB got pretty much knocked down by a jab in his last fight, which is not very impressive whatsoever. And then Andres, that was just a weird fight. He fought Modestas Bukauskas on short notice. He got a bunch of elbows against the fence when he tried to go in for a takedown against Bukauskas. And then the round ended, and, it looked like he was kind of out of it. He went to sit up, and unfortunately the cage door was open. He went to go and lean against the cage, and the cage door was open. He didn't notice, and he fell back, and then they called the fight. I don't think he was out. I don't think he was completely knocked out. So that was a weird way to end a fight. I don't think he was knocked out at that point. But if you look down to it, I think Andres is the better fighter here. He's fought the way better competition. KB didn't fight very good competition on the regional scene in Canada. So, and Andres fought really good competition on the regional scene in Titan FC. And then he fought a really good competitor in Modestas Bukauskas in his UFC debut. I just think he's the all-around better fighter here. I know he's got a size disadvantage here. He's 4 inches shorter with a 2-inch reach disadvantage, but I just think he's the all-around better fighter. He's got some pretty good technique, a lot of spinning attacks, and I think he's got the better grappling. So I think he's just the all-around better fighter. Minus 230, I definitely don't want to lay juice here on his sophomore fight, but I do like. I feel like this fight could go over 1.5 rounds. I think KB will fare better in this fight because of the reach advantage. I think he should be able to keep the distance, and I don't think Andres is going to just come out there and absolutely bulldoze him. So the over 1.5 rounds is at minus 130. I think that's a pretty decent play there. But I'm not looking too keen to go ahead and just throw Andres in a parlay at minus 230. Can't really trust him just yet, even though he's going against not the highest level of competition in KB, but still I'm going Andres here, and I like the over 1.5 rounds at minus 130. All right, next up, we have a fight in the strawweight division between Loma Lookboonmee and Sam Hughes. I forgot to change this guy. Sorry. There we go. Right now, this fight is Loma is a minus 375 favorite. She's the highest favorite on the card. And Sam Hughes is a plus 335 underdog. I gotta say, I've been a big fan of Loma here. She's looked good in her time. She's fought good competition. You're talking about she's fought Angela Hill only in her second UFC fight. I think that, shows the confidence the UFC has in her. She's a veteran in combat sports. She has over 100 Muay Thai fights. So, and you saw that in her last fight against Jinyu Fry. She has some nasty knees, nasty elbows in the clinch. And I know Hughes has got a size advantage here. I mean, pretty much anybody has a size advantage over Loma. She's only 5'1", and she's normally an atomweight fighter. But I don't think Sam Hughes is a better grappler than, let's say, Jinyu Fry. Fry was only able to get her down once, and then she was able to pop back up. Angela Hill was able to get her down once. She popped back up. Alexander Albu took her down once, got right back up. I feel like the same thing's going to happen here. And also, Sam Hughes doesn't have the best striking defense. She kind of just comes in there and bolts her way forward, tries to get this fight to the mat. I feel like that's what she's going to have to do in order to win this fight, because at distance, I mean, you look at the striking of Loma, she's landing 5.16 strikes per minute. That's crazy. And she's landing 55%, all while having a size disadvantage in every fight. Even in her fight against Angela Hill, she looked impressive on the feet. She actually outstruck Angela Hill 53-48, and that's super impressive. So on the feet, Loma has an advantage night and day. Sam Hughes really does not have a chance if this fight is, stuck on the feet. And then if it gets into the clinch, I think she's got dirty knees, the clinch knees, the clinch elbows. I think she's going to cut her up. And I know, Loma is a minus 375 favorite, but I'm very, very confident in her abilities. I'm very high in her as a prospect. She's very, very good. Very, very high level striker. And she works at, Tiger Muay Thai, and those guys they know how to grapple. I know their main focus is, Muay Thai kickboxing, but they have a lot of high level, MMA fighters out of that gym, and they are used to having to defend takedowns. So she's used to it. I mean, a 72% takedown defense is nothing to scoff at, especially as someone of her size. I got Loma here. I got her by decision at minus 140, I believe. And I have her in pretty much all of my parlays. All right. Next up, we have a fight in the flyweight division between Luana Carolina and Poliana Botelho. Right now, Botelho is a minus 250 favorites, and the comeback on Carolina is a plus 230 underdog. Where is she at? Let me get that for you guys. All right. Right now, if we look at the stats here, let me get to it. I think. All right. You have Carolina with a 2-inch reach advantage here. Their Botelho's got a 2-inch height advantage. 8-3 for Botelho, 6-2 for Carolina. Right now, they're both coming off losses in their last fight. But if you look at the level of competition, I think it's night and day. If you remember Carolina, she's the one that got her leg broken against Ariane Lipsky, who is a striker by trade, but somehow got, But then if you watch that fight, all Carolina had to do was just grab her back and kind of, pull her into her. But instead, she got her leg completely snapped in half. That was very, very gruesome of a submission by Lipsky. And then you got Botelho, who's also a striker by trade. She also lost her last fight, not by submission, but she got pretty much grapple fucked by Jillian Robertson pretty easily. But I think if you look at the striking, I know Carolina has the output advantage. She lands 6.29 strikes per minute to Botelho's 3 strikes per minute. But I think Botelho is the far more experienced striker. She is a more technical striker. And I pretty much think she has this fight all day on the feet. I mean, and we're not going to see any grappling exchanges here because they're both kickboxers. They're both Muay Thai kickboxers. I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think it's going to be a back and forth fight. I don't want to lay minus 250 on Botelho. That's for sure. But if you want to take her by decision, which I think is a way she's probably going to win this fight, I think you can get the line down to Botelho by decision minus 110. I mean, that's not bad at all. I think she could win this fight fairly easily on the feet. I do think Carolina is hittable. And this pretty much is a winnable fight for Botelho. She finally gets somebody that's not going to go in there and try to grapple with her. So I think that she has this fight all day. But like I said, minus 250. I'm not keen, on making the pull there. So, all right. Next up, we have a fight in the featherweight division between Kai Kamaka III and TJ Brown. This is going to be a banger of a fight. I'm super excited for this. Right now, Kai Kamaka is a minus 150 favorite, and the comeback on TJ Brown is a plus 140 underdog. Man, I've been watching Kai Kamaka for quite some time now. Watching him all over at LFA. I kind of knew he was going to be in the UFC. And, he looked impressive in his debut, other than, him fading towards the middle of the fight and Tony Kelly really putting it on him late. Tony Kelly actually outstruck him in that bout. But Kai Kamaka, that dude has has some really good striking, really powerful punches. And then you look at TJ Brown. His UFC career hasn't been looking great either. He's lost his last two, whereas Kamaka lost his last fight against Pierce. But we seen the chink in Kamaka's armor, which was his takedown defense. I mean, he's defended only 37% of his takedowns in his last two fights against Tony Kelly and Jonathan Pierce. And Pierce was just able to take it to him and just absolutely keep him there. He was on him like a wet blanket. Kamaka couldn't get up. And I just don't think Kamaka should be fighting at 145 pounds. He's fought half of his career at 135. And I do think that would better suit him. We've seen he's got power, but he doesn't have that one punch knockout power. He has 0 knockouts, in his professional career, and you kind of need that against somebody like TJ Brown, who's going to be relentless with his takedowns and grappling attempts. He's averaging 4.92 takedowns per 15 minutes. He's successful on 60% of his takedowns, so he's going to go in there and try to drag this fight to the mat. He's now been training at Glory MMA with, James Krause and that. So you kind of have to take that into account. I feel like he's kind of leveling up because he's been training, at a very low level gym with only one other UFC star and Bryce Mitchell. So I think he kind of needed a change of scenery. And I think a change of scenery has done him well. He's now training at Glory with a bunch of, really good high level fighters and grapplers. And now Krause is going to be in his corner. So I think that's going to help him level up. And, I think he's going to get better defensively because we've seen in his last fight against Danny Chavez that, he's got some work to do in his striking defense. And he's going to need it here against Kamaka because Kamaka is going to come in there. He's going to push the pace. He's going to throw heavy hands. He's going to throw a ton of volume. Talking Kamaka throws he lands 6.58 strikes per minute, and he lands a crazy 60% of his strikes. So he's in the pocket and he's throwing hands. Those crazy Hawaiians, those dudes love to fight. And, being the cousin of Ray Cooper, we already know what you're going to get from him. Heavy hands, good wrestling, and just an exciting fighter. I'm leaning towards TJ Brown here as the underdog at plus 140. I do think we're going to see a much better TJ Brown here. I see him coming in there, getting this fight to the mat, and kind of just keeping him there. I don't see Kamaka being able to get back up against, a pretty good wrestler in TJ Brown. He's also a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and I just think the change of scenery to Glory MMA, I feel like he's going to level up and just put on a really good performance to finally get his next UFC win, because his last UFC win was on the Contender Series. So I feel like he's going to get his first UFC win this weekend against Kai Kamaka. And it sucks because I'm a very big Kai Kamaka fan. But I'm taking TJ Brown here. I'm taking him on my plus money, plus 140. I think he gets the job done here, just going in there and grappling. But I don't think it's going to be that easy. I think it's going to be a great back and forth battle. And I'm very excited to see this fight. All right, next up, we have a fight at strawweight between Randa Marcos and Luana Pinheiro. Right now, Pinheiro is a minus 160 favorite, and the comeback on Marcos is plus 150 underdog. Pinheiro looks phenomenal in her Contender Series debut. She's 8-1 in her professional career. Randa 10-1. She lost her last 3 fights. She hasn't looked great, and we don't know what you're gonna get from her. I know I see a lot of people trying to take the underdog and Randa here, which kind of, she's actually 10-11-1. Sorry. And I see a lot of people trying to take the underdog here because Contender Series fighters coming into a UFC debut doesn't really pan out, and I totally get that narrative. Because it's a big jump from basically fighting a regional fighter to fighting someone like Randa, who has a crazy amount of experience against super high level competition. Luana, on the other hand, doesn't have that that resume to fall back on, but she's a very high level judoka fighter. Judo black belt. She's very good in her grappling. 63% of her wins come via submission. But the thing is, she's got hands. She's shown it in her Contender Series fight that she can throw down. She's one of the girls that really has power. 115 pounds. There's not a lot of girls that got power at 115 pounds. So I really don't know where Randa is going to be able to win this fight. On the feet, she's going to have to stick and move, stay on the outside. And then in the clinch, I don't know if she's going to be able to get this fight to the mat. I think Luana will be able to keep this fight standing if she wants to, or she could take it to the mat if she wants to. I just think she's got she's got all the skills to get this fight and get the win here in her UFC debut. It's whether or not she's got to capitalize on it. Octagon jitters is one thing, first fight, and Randa's arguably the best fighter that she's faced in her career, but it's a winnable fight for her. And then I feel like Randa's just on her last legs when it comes to the UFC. She lost her last 3, and she's 1-4 in her last 5 fights. Her only win was against Ashley Yoder, and she didn't look overly impressive in that fight either. I know she's fought, Claudia Gadelia, Amanda Ribas, Mackenzie Dern, and Murata, but she did not look good in any of those fights. It's not like she was, competitive. She was just blown out of the water in each of one of those 4 losses. So I think Luana gets her UFC debut win here, and it sucks. Possibly Randa gets cut here, but I don't want to see her go. I think she's a good staple in the women's division, but it is what it is. Sometimes it's that right time. But I've taken Luana here. I think she's got what it takes to make a run in the strawweight division. She's got some good grappling chops, and she's got some really good power in her hand. So I'm excited to see what's made of her. But I'm taking her on -165. I think that's a good line. Anything I wouldn't have taken her at -200 or above, especially on her debut. But -165, I feel like that's a decent line. Don't gotta go crazy. One unit, -165 sounds about right. All right. Next up, I believe is our first fight. Yep, our first fight on the main card. This is the fight that I'm sure everybody is looking forward to, between Merab Dvalishvili and Cody Stamann. Right now, Merab is a -245 favorite, and the comeback on Cody Stamann is a +225 underdog. All right, so man, I'm so looking forward to this fight. It's I feel like every fight that Merab fights, you're looking forward to. The dude comes in there with an endless amount of gas tank. I think he's arguably got the best cardio in the entire UFC. The dude is nonstop cardio. And it's really hard to beat Merab without stopping him. Like if you look at Ricky Simon was about to lose that fight before he pretty much choked him out in the last couple seconds. But on top of that, he doesn't tap. He just goes out. So that's the type of fighter you get in a Merab. So it's a really big uphill battle for someone like Cody Stamann, who's going to have to be on his back foot the entire fight. Merab's going to come forward. His back is going to be against the cage. He's going to have to defend takedowns for 15 minutes, and not just one takedown. We're talking like 10 to 15 takedown attempts he's going to have to defend. It's going to be crazy amount of pressure from Merab, and it's really going to be hard for Cody to win this fight on the judges' scorecards, by just having to be defensive. He's not going to be very offensive in this fight. He can't be offensive in this fight because Merab's going to be trying to go in for takedowns and just rinse and repeat. He's not one of those fighters that goes in there and controls you on the mat. He'll let you get up because he's got the cardio to just dump you right back on your ass again. I know Cody's got really good wrestling, D1 wrestler. He's got an 80% takedown defense. So it's not going to be an easy feat for Merab to just go in there and take him down like he's done pretty much to everybody else. But it's just, I don't see how Cody can win this fight without finishing, Merab. And Cody has no knockouts in his UFC career. So without that power, I don't see him being able to win on the judges' scorecards because Merab just does enough that the judges will not be able to give it to his opponent. Just going. He's so busy, and he's able to do that for 15 minutes. It's just crazy. Unfortunately, the minus 245 line is absurd considering he was only minus 250 something, minus 265 against John Dodson. I don't think he should be a minus 245 favorite against somebody of Cody Stamen's stature. I mean, Stamen's last couple fights were against Rivera, Kelleher, Song Yadong, Perez, Aljamain Sterling. You look at Merab's wins are against Dotson, Gustavo Lopez on short notice, Casey Kenny, Brad Katona, Terrion Ware, guys that I think Cody Stamann would be able to beat every single one of them. I know resume-wise, Merab definitely is lesser, but I still think that he's able to get this fight done. I think he gets it done on the scorecards. I have him winning via decision, minus 145. I feel like that's the only way you're going to bet him. I don't think he's going to be able to finish Cody here, so I'm taking Merab by decision, minus 145 as my bet on this fight, and I'm looking forward to this fight. I just like pretty much everybody else. All right, next up, we have a fight at 185 pounds between Sean Strickland and Krzysztof Jotko. Right now, Strickland is a minus 265 favorite, and the comeback on Jotko is a plus 245 underdog. I've been extremely impressed with Sean Strickland, especially since, coming off of 2.5-year layoff due to, his motorcycle accident. That was just brutal. And to be as good as he's been since then is just a thing of beauty. His boxing has looked the best it's ever been. Knocked out Brendan Allen. Was talking shit to Jack Marshman for a whole 15 minutes while he's punching him in the face. I don't know. He's like, oh, why don't you go down? And I totally get it. The dude, he's looked great. He looks revitalized, especially at 185 pounds. I feel like the weight cut to 170 did him a disservice. And I really feel like it did a lot to him as a fighter. And now he looks healthy at 185 pounds. And he's taking on Krzysztof Jotko, who in his own right, he's riding a 3-fight win streak. He's looked impressive. He's looked the best he's looked really in a while. Because, I mean, he was riding a 3-fight losing streak before, riding that 3-fight win streak. So I think he's kind of leveled himself up and he knew what he had to do to get wins. And that's kind of stick and move, keep out of the range, keep out of the power shots like he did against Anders, go in for takedowns like he did against Amadovsky and Berriot. So he was fought really smart. He's a veteran in the sport. He's 22-4. But that's not going to work against Sean Strickland. I mean, he throws immensely more volume than Jotko. He lands immensely more than Jotko, 5.09 per minute to 2.98. And then Strickland also only absorbs 3.77, so he's outlanding his opponents by like 1.5 to 1 per minute. So that's very, very impressive. And what he did against Allen was also very impressive. I mean, he came forward, didn't care about his grappling, and just took it to him. And then you look at his takedown defense, 81%, and he's defended takedowns against, Kamaru Usman, like high-level grapplers he's faced. And then Usman, I think, only went 3 for 7 on his takedowns, which is very impressive. So I'm all over Strickland here. I think he's, pretty much an anchor in all of my parlays. I think he just could have put it on Jotko here. I think Joker's at a really big disadvantage on the feet. Very, very big disadvantage. I think he has this fight all day on the feet, and I just don't think Jotko has the grappling to get this fight to the mat, especially against somebody like Strickland. Even if he does get it down, I don't see him keeping it there. He's going to get right back up, and he's just going to put it on him. I have Strickland winning a decision. He could get a KO. It's possible. But I think Strickland just beats him up for the entire 15 minutes. I'm very, very impressed with Sean Strickland here, and the sky's the limit for him in the middleweight division. Really, I think he can surge up the rankings if he just keeps it up. I mean, I know Marshman's not a big name, but having a win over Brendan Allen is very impressive, and then getting another win here against Jotko, also very impressive, and then that'll be a 4-fight win streak. which should get him. Oh, he's already ranked at number 15, so I think he should at least surge up a couple more spots with another win here. All right, next up, this is this could be a crazy fight between Ian Cutelaba and Dustin Jacoby. And if you guys did not see the weigh-ins between these two, Cutelaba does the normal things that he normally does. He goes crazy at the weigh-ins, and gets into a scuffle with Dustin Jacoby. I don't condone that whatsoever. I don't think anybody should put hands on another fighter at the weigh-ins. We've seen what Jeremy Stevens did to Jakar Close, and that's just that's no bueno. There's no reason to that. And, doing that can result in the fight not happening, as we've seen. And that's just what Cutelaba does. He does it, I think, to get into his, opponent's mindset. He wants it to be all out brawl because he feels that brings out the best in him. And this fight's going to be an absolute crazy fight just from the jump, especially now it's at the apex as well. So you expect fireworks right from the jump with this fight. Cutelaba was a minus 125 favorite, and the comeback on Dustin Jacoby is a plus 115 underdog. This it really boils down to, can Cutelaba get the win in the first round? I think him winning in round one is about plus 200. But if he can't win in round one, I would lie bet Dustin Jacoby all day after round one. I don't see Cutelaba having the cardio to go and grapple and kickbox with Dustin Jacoby for 15 minutes. So he's got about 5 minutes of gas tank to get this fight won, and I feel like that's the best way for us to bet this fight is Cutelaba round one plus 200, or Dustin Jacoby live after round one, which should get him. I would think you should be able to get him at plus money after round one. Cutelaba is going to go in there. He's going to test Dustin Jacoby's takedown defense early and often. It's going to be a good fight, and it's going to show us how Dustin Jacoby has leveled up since his time away from the UFC. Because the only time he really had to defend takedowns, he hasn't really had to defend takedowns against anybody really well. And also, Dustin Jacoby definitely did not look well in his last fight against Maxim Grishin. He got knocked down twice, which is definitely not good. He got outstruck by the slow, low output Maxim Grishin, also not good. And he's also taking this fight on 10 days notice. So you have to take all that into account. If I'm leaning pre-bet, I'd probably go with Cutelaba minus 125. He had a full, fight camp for this, and Dustin Jacoby really didn't put in a whole fight camp of wrestling. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does on short notice in this fight against an absolute powerhouse in Cutelaba. I do like the under 1.5 rounds at minus 117. I think that's very, very good there. I give the edge to Jacoby almost. He's got playing kickboxing. Yeah, that's true. You're right, Kevin. He definitely has a plethora of kickboxing experience. He's been a Glory MMA kickboxer. I think he has like 18 fights over there, I believe, a bunch. I do give him the experience there. The thing is, he doesn't possess a ton of power, and the thing is with Cutelaba, he's going to come forward. He's going to throw a ton of heavy hands. And he's gonna go in for takedowns. So it's gonna be interesting to see if Jacoby could stay on his feet, use his kicking, use his calf kicks, use his jab just to keep at range. But this is also the apex. It's not the 30-foot octagon we saw at UFC 261. So it's gonna be interesting. This fight's not going over one. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I don't see this fight going over 1.5 rounds either. Either Jacoby's getting finished, in the first round, or even Cutelaba gets finished in the first round after, failed takedown attempts, or, just gassing himself out within 3 minutes of just going for takedowns and not getting the finish. So I do see a finish either way. I do see it staying under the 1.5 round mark. It's really hard for me to see either one of these guys not getting a knockout in 7 minutes with the amount of aggression and the amount of violence that we're going to see in this fight. I'm very excited for this fight. This is fight you're not gonna want. You're not gonna want to miss. You're not gonna want to blink. It's gonna be excitement all the way through. All right. Next up in the co-main event, we have a fight at 145 pounds between Giga Chikadze and Cub Swanson. Right now, Chikadze is a minus 175 favorite, and the comeback on Cub Swanson is a plus 165 underdog. Man, this is a fight that I see a lot of people just taking, Chikadze here, and I totally get it. He looked super impressive as of late, especially against Jamie Simmons. He went in there. He did what he had to do. He did what he was supposed to do. Got a head kick knockout. Before that, he fought Omar Morales. Very, very impressive there. He did not look impressive early on in his career. And, that's always been my fallback. I always kind of look back to early on in his UFC career where, he it looked like he didn't win against Davis. He didn't look like he win against Jamal Emmers. But then after that Emmers fight, I just think he put in the work because he beat Rivera soundly. And then he beat Omar Morales to the punch. He beat a very big, heavy kickboxer, Venezuelan kickboxer, professional kickboxer. Beat him to the punch throughout the entire fight. Beat him up, knocked him down. So that was arguably his most impressive win of his career, and I was super impressed with that. And then Simmons, I'm not really super impressed because he fought the guy on a couple days' notice, and it was a fight that he should have won either way. And then in comes Cub Swanson coming off a layoff due to, I think, a torn ACL. He didn't look good early on. Pineda was kicking that leg. He was hobbling around, but Cub Swanson is a damn killer. He was able to hang in there and absolutely dead Pineda in the second round. That was super impressive. He just looked the best he's ever looked in that fight against Pineda. He's riding a 2-fight win streak. I think he's still got some time left in him. He's I know he's 37, and that's the wrong side of a 145-pound fighter, but I still think he's got the dog in him. This is gonna be a fun fight. I think it's gonna be a lot closer than the line suggests. I think it should be maybe Giga around minus 130, minus 140. I think Cub is going to bring the fight to him. I know Giga, he's longer, he's taller, he's got a 4-inch height, 4-inch reach advantage. He's a very good kickboxer. But you look at Cub, he's fought the who's who in MMA. He's fought everybody. And then he recently, not about recently, but like 2 years ago, he fought Shane Burgos, who's about the same stature. He had 5 inches of reach advantage over Cub as well. And if you look at the numbers, he almost outlanded him, and he put up crazy numbers. He got outstruck 134 to 129 against Shane Burgos. So we know Cub could go in there and go volume for volume with anybody. He's going to push the pace. He's going to be in your face. He's going to throw heavy hands. And I just don't think it's going to be a walk in the park for Giga. I don't think he's going to be able to just stick and move. And just throw a jab, throw his kicks. I think Cub is too much of a veteran, and it's just a massive step up in competition. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, going from Simmons, Rivera, Omar Morales, Jamal Emmers, those guys to Cub Swanson. I mean, no, it's night and day. Night and day. I know he's not the Cub Swanson, when he, back in the day when he knocked out Duho Choi, that kind of Cub, but this is still Cub Swanson. So that kind of makes me hard to go pick Giga at this line of minus 175. So we'll see what happens. I kind of like the dog money plus 160 on Cub Swanson. I know I've been fading Giga too many times and he's been burning me, but I still like dog money on the vet here, the guy that I feel like he still has it in him to get a win here. Chikadze, he's more than likely not going to grab a finish, but he can go to decision. He's looked okay on bottom 2, plus decent footwork to keep at range from takedowns. Yes, that's very true. I mean, he's a high level kickboxer. He was a professional kickboxer before coming over to the MMA. And I feel like he has progressed a ton since his Contender Series stint where he got submitted. And he's looked better. He's riding like a 5-6 fight win streak since then. So Training at King's MMA in California. He's been getting work with guys like Marvin Vettori, Kelvin Gastelum. So high-level grapplers there, guys that really could push you to the brink of exhaustion and when it comes to grappling. So we've seen him really level up since that, since early on in his UFC career. It's just, I don't know, man. I just feel like Cub still has got it. He's going to throw the leg kicks. He's going to batter the legs. He's going to come in. He's going to throw heavy hands. And I feel like Giga is going to have to catch him coming in and drop him in order for him to get this win, because Cub is not going to be able to, is not going to stay at range. He's going to get inside the reach. He's going to throw hands. I mean, if he could get inside the reach on Shane Burgos, I think he could get inside the reach on Giga Chikadze. I mean, they're both the same stature. Shane Burgos 5'11", Giga's 6 foot. Giga's got a 4-inch reach advantage. Burgos got a 5-inch reach advantage. So I think he could get inside the reach and really lay the heavy leather here. So we'll see. I got Cub here plus 160. We'll see how it goes. I just think it's going to be a great fight, and it's a very good co-main event here. I mean, you could have put Ian Kutalaba against Dustin Jacoby as a co-main event. You could have put Merab against Cody Stamann as a co-main event. This main card is going to be a great main card. I mean, the matchmakers did beautifully putting this fight card together, and I think it's a low key, very, very good fight card. I mean, top to bottom, like I said before, only got like 1 or 2 fights on here that you're like kind of iffy about. Every fight is worth watching on this fight card, I believe, every single one. So I'm taking Cub here plus 160. I think he's got enough in it to get it done. Giga can prove me wrong. Well, again, like he's done like 5 times in a row. So we'll see what happens. All right. Next up, we are up to the main event. This I'm very excited for this main event here between Dominic Reyes and Yuri Prochazka. Right now, the odds are Prochazka as a minus 120 favorite, and the comeback on Dominic Reyes is plus 110 underdog. This is a very interesting fight. This could be fireworks from the get-go. We've seen what Yuri is capable of in his UFC debut against Volkan Oezdemir. All action, non-stop, crazy power, crazy athleticism, throws punches and kicks from all different types of angles. Super unorthodox striker. And I feel like he's going to give a ton of problems to Reyes. Reyes is one that, he doesn't push the pace. He's looking to counter. He lets his opponents come forward, and he looks to throw that, that deadly left hook counter as you're coming in. Reyes has got power in his hands. He doesn't have the volume advantage here. I don't think he's got the power advantage either. This is a fighter that is very, very hard for Reyes to really game plan against, because you don't know what he's going to throw. He's going to throw some unorthodox, wild shit that you've never seen. And he's got immensely more experience than Reyes. I know Reyes, he had a really good fight against John Jones that he arguably won. He doubled that up with a very, very lackluster performance against Jan Blachowicz. He looked like a completely different fighter. He looked completely timid. I don't know what happened in that fight, but it is what it is. He didn't throw. He got hit a ton. And if he's timid here, he's getting deaded by Yuri. That's the way it's going to happen. Reyes has got to go back to the way he fought, like he fought John Jones. He's got to stay on the outside, use his jab, use his length, use his reach, and use that counter work, that footwork that got him to that championship level. He's got to bring that back in order to get this win here. We've seen Yuri definitely hittable. He got hit with the kitchen sink by Volkan. He got wobbled multiple times. And we know Reyes definitely has power in his hands. He's got multiple knockouts in the UFC. Look what he did against Chris Weidman. Very, very impressive. But if he doesn't get the knockout, I feel like Yuri is gonna explode and get the knockout himself. The dude has crazy power. I mean, 25 of his 27 wins have come by way of knockout. So And it's not like this guy is fighting bums on the regional scene. He's the only guy that made Vadim Nemkov quit on the stool. Yes, you heard that right. He made Vadim Nemkov, the light heavyweight champion over at Bellator, quit on the stool after a 1-10 round. That's right, because in Ryzen, there are 10-minute fights. 10-minute round fight made him quit on the stool. I know Vadim was only 5-0 at that time, but that's still a good feat. I mean, he's knocked out King Mo, CB Dalloway, and he's fought good competition outside of the UFC over at Ryzen, and I feel like he's fought better grapplers as well. I mean, CB Dalloway, high-level D1 wrestler, King Mo, high-level D1 wrestler, and I just don't see Reyes going to be able to just take him down and just keep him there for an entirety of 25 minutes. I don't think he has a gas tank to do that. And we've also never seen Reyes do that. He's landed only one takedown in his UFC career, and that was against Jeremy Kimball super early in his UFC career. So we're going to see a crazy striking battle between these two in close proximity in the apex. Fireworks all around in this fight. I got Yuri minus 120. I got him by KO at plus 135. I think that's the best bet if you're going to bet on Yuri by KO plus 135, because chance of him winning a decision against Reyes, I feel like it's slim. I feel like Yuri would fade towards the later rounds if that were to happen. And I feel if it gets to the later rounds, Reyes is be able to stick and move, keep on the outside, and just outwork Yuri and just kind of beat him up. But if it ends before that, I feel like Yuri's got to get the knockout. He was getting beat until Nemkov gassed and retired to me. The King Mo fight is weird. Didn't look good till later in the fight. And most of the fighters he fought have been orthodox and not being able to counter. You're right. Definitely right. Definitely right. The thing is with Yuri, at any given moment, it takes just one strike to put you out. And we'll see. I mean, this is a super close fight. That's why the odds are minus 120, plus 110. And I totally get everybody taking Dominic Reyes here because, I mean, if we look at the competition, yes, Reyes definitely fought the better competition. Just him fighting John Jones alone, is better competition than anybody Yuri has fought. And he fought him tooth and nail, but you have to take it to account that it wasn't the John Jones that we've seen that was beating everybody. It wasn't the John Jones that was beating Daniel Cormier, that type of John Jones. It was a very different, timid type of John Jones. He did what he had to do, get wins, John Jones. He wasn't the killer. So this fight can go like Yuri coming forward, and then Dominic Reyes just deads him with that counter left that he always does. Or Yuri just puts it on Reyes with a plethora of crazy unorthodox strikes, head kicks, teep kicks, leg kicks, and then crazy spinning attacks. This dude's going to be throwing some bombs, and it's one that I'm really looking forward to. I like the under 1.5 rounds. I feel like either one of these guys could get a knockout early. Yuri comes in there with a blockhead and pretty much eats punches and bunches, and Reyes, he's gonna have to brawl here. So I do like the under 1.5 rounds. If you're taking a play on either side, I feel like you have to take by knockout. I mean, Reyes by knockout is plus 230, which is kind of insane. I feel like if you can play both sides by KO, I feel like you're gonna make money either way. If you really do think about it, I feel like this fight's definitely not gonna go the distance. And if you take either one of these guys by KO, you're winning money. Plus 230 for Reyes by KO, I think it's kind of absurd. I think it's very absurd considering how Yuri gets knocked on. He gets knocked all over the place. He eats a ton of shots. So, yeah, I got I'm personally taking Yuri by KO, and I'm gonna take Reyes by KO. I think that's a really good betting strategy in this fight. I feel like either one of these guys can get a KO, and I'm taking the other 1.5 rounds here as well. So that's a breakdown for UFC Vegas 25. But I'm gonna give you guys my best bets on this card. As far as my favorite underdog bet, I'm gonna have to go with TJ Brown a plus 140. I just think he's got a distinct grappling advantage. I think we've seen the chink in Kai Kamaka's armor. It's his cardio at 145, and it's his takedown defense is not good either. So I feel like as long as TJ Brown doesn't, get knocked unconscious, which would be the first knockout of Kai Kamaka's career, he should be able to get in there, take him down, and keep him there. Just like Jonathan Pierce did. I do think TJ Brown is a better grappler than Jonathan Pierce, me personally. And if Jonathan Pierce can keep him down and wear on him, I think TJ Brown can kind of do the same thing. As far as that, my other best bets, I really do like Luana Pinheiro here. I think she's got the it factor. At minus 160, I think it's still a good line. My favorite parlay would be a strong Strickland Loma Lukbuni parlay at minus 130. I think that's a no-brainer. You can load up on that. It's a nice little two-teamer. Kind of keep that line down to a minimum. Minus 130 is not bad there. So yeah, those are my plays. That's the breakdown for UFC Vegas 25. If you guys aren't following me, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Fight Analyst, or on Facebook, The Fight Analysts, or The Fight Analyst LLC on Instagram. I give you guys a ton of fight news and breaking news, all that cool stuff. So give the page a like, follow me. I'll be back next week. Hopefully Peter will be back with us. I know sometimes we get into schedule conflicts, because he's got life going on. He's making a killing over there. He's getting ready, hopefully, for a short notice fight. He's making that bread too. So kudos to him, and we're hoping to get him back for the Fight and the Analyst very, very soon. Cody's a decent bet, but with his defensive wrestling. Yeah. See, the thing is with Cody, he kind of have to I feel like he needs a finish. It's going to be hard for him to get a win via decision, because Morales is just going to outwork him. Let's just put it that way. He's 110% going to outwork Cody. So Cody's going to have to go in there and get a finish. And it's really hard to go in there and get a finish. Morales got a chin on him, and Cody has 0 knockouts in his UFC career. So it's going to be quite interesting fight, but I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, that's the breakdown. Thank you all for joining me this morning. We're going to cash some bets tonight. So I will see you all cashing out at the ticket window. And until next time, you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you all after the fights. You guys have a great night.